welcome to lesson 16, and we are going to remesh and sculpt the feet, and we will turn the feet into shoes with some a nice pattern of my own design that I will create onto the shoes. So without further ado, what we're going to do is I was just going to sculpt down the heel, make it nice and fat at the bottom, and then just smooth it over to make it nice and thin. We are going to remesh the foot so it's a little bit better topology to play with. 0.01 is what I went for, but it was a bit too small, so I would change this back to 0.015 for my reference. There we go, like so, and then that was a little bit easier to sculpt with. It was a bit too small to sculpt with before, and it was lagging my blender up a little bit, but that's okay. So with the draw sharp tool, all I'm going to do is draw the bottom bit of the shoe and joining and connecting up to the top bit of the heel. I've noticed I put the heel maybe a bit too low down and the curvature hasn't quite followed all the way through, but that's okay. I will more than likely change that. So just with the draw sharp tool, as you can see, just going over the edges of the shoe where it would be, and then using the scrape tool would just flatten down some of the topology. So here, as we're just using the grab and the draw sharp, I'm just trying to get the legs, the feet into proportion, keeping the ankles the way they are. This has taken me quite some time to do this actually, because every time I try to do something, it just never looked right. And I've noticed you get a lot of that when sculpting an avatar. You do it over and over and over again, and then sometimes it's like, oh no, actually if I did this it'll look better. Oh no, if I did that it'll look better, and so on. So just trial and error. So back to the draw sharp, and we're just going to draw around where the top of the shoe would be. We're just drawing along and down the side, and this is where I spent quite some time trying to do a pattern, trying to do something that can be done. I may just bring in an object later on and use an object to then attach to the shoe, which might be might be something better to do, simply because might be able to mirror it a little better. So a little bit of trial and error here. Just trying to draw on some nice little pattern on the front here, and then connecting it up, and just all I'm pushing in the geometry, and then just smoothing it over. I did use the pinch tool just to pinch up the sides there to make it look a little better. So once I've put in the pattern and just use the draw sharp to hold shift to smooth over, control to push in, and just normal click to draw. And as you can see, I'm just smoothing things down and over where the shoe line is. However, I noticed I wanted to add in an extra pattern on the side of the shoe just to be a bit more different, just add a little bit more detail in. I will come back to this also later on and change the topology, put a higher topology on, and then resculpt, which shouldn't be a problem. So on the side here, using the draw sharp, I'm just drawing some, not wings, but some sort of like a shark's fin, I suppose, something that just looks kind of cool from the angle. So I'm just trying to line up from the other side of the foot, as you can see. Because one foot's mirrored to the other, I didn't want to suddenly symmetrize it from the middle of the foot just on one foot. So I thought a little bit of freehand drawing just makes it look a little bit more realistic in a way, if that is the way to look at it. So as we're going over here, I'm just using the draw sharp again, just holding control, holding shift to smooth, and just pushing it in. So now I'm using the pinch, and I'm just cleaning up the edges and pinching in the edges just to make it look a little bit more sharper. And we'll just go make sure to do the other side as well. I did notice when doing this I sort of lost the pointiness, but that's okay. Adding these on just for now. However, I will most likely use other bring in shapes later on and put them in the place attached to the shoe, as I've noticed when having an actual object, it's easier to sculpt from that specific object like a cube or a sphere than straight from the foot. But a little bit of trial and error. Just trying this out, and it seems to be going okay. But we will have to detach the foot from the shoe at some point. And here we're just using the scrape tool over, just to make it look a little sharper. And then holding control with the draw sharp, we'll just push the geometry in and going around the edges of the high-heeled shoe. So at this point I've noticed my high heels are a little bit too high, so I just had to pull them down a bit. And this is a cool little tool because we want the feet to be flat. If you press the tilde key on the keyboard and select front, your positioning will go to the front like so. And we're looking for the button line project. Now if you click and drag and hold control to level it, you can click and drag and it cuts the geometry in a nice straight line. So now, as you can see, the high heel and the front of the shoe is now completely flat. So I'm just going to click on the scrape tool now and just scrape over the heel like so, just to give it a little bit of a curvature on the edges. I don't want to keep it completely flat because that might look too realistic. And then I'm just using the scrape tool just as the shoe is bending up like so. So now we know our feet are completely flat, and I will probably use a scrape tool to go over. So now I didn't quite like the look of the hair, of the front hair. The top hair didn't change too much, it's just the front hair that's coming off to the side and the back hair. So the front hair, I just needed to make it a little bit more fluent on the side of the head. I didn't like it just sticking out because it just did not look realistic at all. So going back over it again, looking at it again, I felt like I had to redo the whole piece of hair again. Hair's not too difficult to do because it's it's random anyway. As long as you've got a nice fluent, say like an S shape into the hair, then it'll always look kind of good. And then with the grab tool, I wanted to pull some bits out to have extended like bits of sticking out hair, as it could look also pretty good when waving in the wind. And I'm just replacing and using the draw sharp just to push in the geometry and pull it out and smooth it over. So when you're happy with this, we're just going to go on to the next little bit, just replacing that on the top there. Just smooth down the top of the head. As you can see, all the lines on the hair and the top of the head is all going towards the scrunchie, the hair band, as you can see at the top. And then last but not least, I'm just editing the giant bit of hair on the back. I thought it was too thin, the geometry was too thin, which could cause complications for later on for when adding textures or UV wraps to the actual hair itself. So here I'm just making it a bit bulky, using the inflate tool, using the grab tool, just pushing and pulling it out, making it look a little bit more realistic. I didn't think it looked very good beforehand. Okay, just going to finish off the hair here, and then on the next lesson we're going to just finish off the face features that we still need to remesh, and then we'll move on to the armor. See you in the next lesson.